guys? Welcome back to Days of Darkness, and welcome to my review for The Menu. This one came out in 2022. It is starring Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Nicholas Hoult, and was directed by Mark Malloy. Malloy? We'll go with that. Apologies for the mispronunciation, or potential mispronunciation. Anyways, you can tell I'm kind of fucking hyped up. It's because I fucking love this movie. So, when I first went into this, I'll give you a little background here. Mrs. Darkness was the catalyst for my initial viewing of this film, which I'm very thankful for, because I think if not for her, this one probably would have flown under my radar. Obviously I heard good things about it after the fact, so that may have prompted me to check it out, but she was the one who was like, nah, we're gonna watch this. She was partially raised by food. Her father is a chef, so she was raised around food. She worked with food, so she definitely, of the two of us, had a very big investment in this film for sure. And for me, I was not raised with food as a source of income. It was never that for me, but I've always had a big admiration for food. I loved, going on road trips and shit, and you're in the hotel, and for some reason my family, it was the only time we ever did this. My mom would watch stuff here and there at the house, but whenever we were in hotels, it was always fucking cooking shows. I'm talking Guy Fieri, talking Gordon Ramsay, talking Iron Chef, who's the Iron Chef? Bobby Flay. Always those motherfuckers. Always on, the Super 8 hotel fucking TV. I don't know why. That's some of the best memories I've had, and that has evolved into my adulthood. I like cooking shows a lot. It's definitely like junk food TV for me, for sure. And as I've gotten older, I've really found an appreciation for chefs and what chefs do. It's a very, very complicated process to become a prolific chef. You can be a good cook, but to be at this level depicted in this film, it's fucking insane. And that's and the villain of this movie is a Gordon Ramsay-esque level guy. He's a very, very, very famous chef. And one of the things I liked about this movie quite a bit was the fact that they really handle, his story and just the career of cooking in general. They handle it with a lot of love and a lot of care. Obviously, the villains in this movie are a little exaggerated because it is a horror film. But, I feel like if you put this concept in the lap of somebody, killer chefs, a lot of them will go the cheesy route. No, they're cooking people, especially if you bring the cult aspect of things into it. Oh yeah, they're cooking and eating people. It's okay, yeah, you can go with that, but I think the message of this film and just what this film has to say about the service industry and how people consume food and how they don't truly savor it, and how this thing just has so much fun stuff and so much fun commentary to say. And I just fucking loved it, man. I really, really think the world of this movie. I think sometimes people will look at a chef, and I feel like a lot, it's one of those things that, film is the same way. I feel like there are people who get into culinary school just thinking that, I know how to cook. This will be fucking eat. You think you know how to cook, motherfucker. You think you do. You can be a good cook. There are plenty of good cooks out there, man. I know plenty of good cooks. But to get to the level of, in this movie, Chef Slowick, or a Gordon Ramsay, or anybody, or a Bobby Flay, or anybody like that, dude, the level of commitment and work to that craft, it's insane. You have to love it. And that's one of the good things that this movie does, is it shows what happens when something you love quickly turns into an obsession, and it's no longer about love, it's about perfection and making sure you're the best, and how that can eat away and destroy people sometimes. Which gives an air of tragedy to this fucking story that I think is that a lot of chefs could probably relate to. So, you know, that whole, just how they treat that career path and how they treat, you know, the Chef Slovik's character and, you know, all of his little cult member sous chefs and all that shit. You know, they did a really good job. Another thing this movie does very well is the performances. Since we're talking about Slovik, let's just talk about him. Julian Slovik, the character, you know, Ralph Fiennes' character. Awesome fucking character. To me, you know, everybody in this film does a fucking fantastic job. I think everybody in this film is, you know, I think all their characters, minor or major, are written beautifully. I think, you know, I have no complaints. I have zero complaints with the characters in this movie. But Chef Slovik is like the guy in this film for me. I just think, you know, like I said, there's a very big air of tragedy to his character. And, you know, obviously he plays off of Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Margot, throughout the film very, very well. And I would love to see those two perform alongside each other again at some point, because I think they were both their chemistry is, like, incredible. But, you know, he, like I said before, he has dedicated his entire life to cooking, and he's seen people just take it for granted. And he's at this point now in his career where the only people he can really cook for is the people who don't appreciate it. You know, there are characters in this film, the old couple, who have eaten there 11 times, and later on in the film, he asks them, he goes, "You've eaten here 11 times. Name one dish that you've had. Name one." And they can't, because they don't fucking care, dude. It's not about the food. It's about the prestige. It's about the money. Look at me. I can eat here 11 times, and you can't. And that fucking eats away at him. Because you see later on, you know, when he was a kid, cooking brought him a lot of joy. And it was his love in life. It was his first true fucking love. You know, that picture of, every picture in his office, we'll call it. Because it wasn't his actual office. It's like his house or whatever. But every fucking photo in that, he's sad. He has no expression. He's just stone-faced. But, you know, when he's a kid, in that picture of him as a kid, and he has that burger, he's fucking grilling that burger, happy as can fucking be. Absolutely happy as can fucking be. But he's lost that over time, and it's just gone. And it's driven him insane. He's been driven mad. And he's converted all these different other chefs that are his underlings, I guess you can say, or his trainees. He's converted all of them to his cause, and, you know, their art is dead. They no longer have a purpose, because the only people they can cook for, as I said, is people who just don't fucking appreciate the shit at all. And so they're like, all right, I guess we're gonna fucking, you know, take them out, man. And that's where, you know, it gets a little crazy. But I think the world of this film, and just that idea alone, and the way they handled the Chef Slovik character, Slovik, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, man, I think that character is fucking incredible. It's not the only one, though. You have Margot, who is played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who also is absolutely fucking tremendous. I've been a big Anya Taylor-Joy guy for a lot. I mean, look at her. But no, no, honestly, though, like, she's always impressed me. She's always done an incredible job in whatever she's in, whether it's Split, here in The Menu. I thought she did fucking fantastic as Peach in the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I fucking adored. But yeah, man, Anya Taylor-Joy fucking rules, and it's no different here. She's great, and she's the perfect foil for a Chef Slovik. And we see that from the very beginning. Like, you know, it's revealed later on that she is a call girl and that Tyler has hired her. I love the fact, too, that this movie is very rewarding upon rewatch. Is like, when you first see these two, you would just assume they're boyfriend and girlfriend and the way they're talking to each other. But then once you realize what the twist is and you go back and you watch it and you hear the certain things that they say, and you know, when she's like, oh, well, you're paying for it. It's like, you just think, oh, they're paying for the meal. No, he's paying for her to just be there. So, and Tyler has to hire this call girl because his girlfriend broke up with him. And that whole twist, which is fucking crazy. But, you know, from the very beginning, Chef Slovic has this whole night planned out to a fucking T. He has everybody's dirt. He has dirt on everybody. He knows why he wants these people to die, yada, yada, yada. And then he gets Margot. And he doesn't know what to fucking do. You know, this person was not supposed to fucking be here. And he's very frustrated by that. And her presence immediately is like slowly rattling him. And he doesn't know how to react. He can't be as stone cold as he would like to be. He does a pretty good job of it throughout the movie. I mean, someone kills themselves right in front of him and he doesn't really bat an eye. But yeah, man, you know, her presence immediately just rattles him. And so throughout the movie, he's trying to figure out, okay, well, you're going to die no matter what. You know, I'm sorry. And that whole revelation's crazy. We'll get there when we talk about Tyler. But, you know, he's wanting to find out if she belongs with the cooks or with the customers. Is she a giver or a taker? And that's when you get a lot of the tremendous chemistry between Ralph Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy. And the fact that these two just work fucking awesome together, man. I would love to see them together in something again, for sure. They're fucking great. But those one-on-ones with those two, whether it be in the bathroom or the office or in the kitchen, he spends a lot of time trying to figure her out. And, you know, once he determines that, hey, she belongs with us, and she's kind of hesitant to do that, but he sends her to go get this barrel. And she wanders into his house, essentially, and she sees all of those pictures, like I mentioned before, of him just looking just sad and just defeated and dejected and just miserable. And then she sees that photo of him with, you know, grilling the cheeseburger, and he's happy as fuck, dude. He genuinely, you can see it in the photo, he is genuinely loving what he is doing. And, you know, she kind of calls that back later when he essentially is like, you know, she tries to call for help. So he's like, okay, well, no, you belong with them now. You know, you're a taker. You're going to die with them. And she kind of realizes, oh, I'm fucked, until she remembers that photo. And it's such a beautifully acted, beautifully performed scene of her just calling him out and being like, dude, you have no joy in this. This is not, there's no way you love this. There's no way. It's like you've taken the joy out of cooking. It's no longer about love. It's about obsession. And she's like, and she goes, and the worst part is I'm still fucking hungry. And he's, you know, it's just so great, because then she kind of starts to break him down, you know, and he's like, well, you know, what do you want to eat? It's like, fuck, I've given you all this great food that's cooked with no love, by the way. And she goes, I want a fucking cheeseburger. That's what I want. I want a fucking cheeseburger. And he goes, oh, I'll make you a very good. She's like, I'm not talking about no dehydrated, fucking whatever they call the foam shit. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm like, I want a fucking cheeseburger. Which, the whole scene of Chef Slowick cooking this cheeseburger, for anyone who doesn't know, cheeseburgers are my all-time favorite food. It's my favorite fucking food. You know, I love other stuff too, for sure. Pizza's one of them. Tacos, fucking Mexican food in general is fucking great, but cheeseburgers, that's my fucking deal. 100%. I love it. So this whole scene of him making this, I was just like, this looked fucking good, man. It looked really fucking good. And so obviously that's a big scene for me. But the scene of him cooking this cheeseburger is also really good, not just because of my own gluttonous desires, but the fact that, you know, he smiles. For the first time in this movie, he smiles. And it's like he's getting brought back to why he fell in love with cooking. And it's like he enjoyed just fucking making burgers on a grill, dude. He just loved it. He fucking loved it. And you can see it, man. He's cracking a smile. And when she takes that bite and she's like, God damn, dude, this is a good fucking cheeseburger. And like you see him just straight smile. And he's like, he's back, dude. For that brief moment, you know, she brings him back to what made him fall in love with all of this in the first place. Which is such a beautiful idea. It's such a beautiful fucking scene, man. It's so fucking heartwarming. And then she uses that euphoria that he is in. And she's like, hey, well, you know, I think my eyes may have been a little bigger than my stomach. She goes, can I get the rest to go? AKA, can I get the fuck out of here? And he's like, sure. You know, he's like, all right, well, that'll be $9.95 or whatever. And she pays him. And she fucking leaves. He just lets her leave. And I guess that was his way of saying, you know, he's like, I know I'm about to die. I'm dead no matter what. Thank you. Thank you. He doesn't say it. He never verbally thanks her. But you can just see it in his face. He's like, thank you. Thank you for fucking bringing me back, even for just a split second. Thank you. And yeah, man, she goes, and then we get the s'mores and that whole fucking crazy ass scene. Which was just fucking tremendous. You know, them getting the fucking marshmallow, like, tops and the fucking chocolate hats and the graham crackers all over the place and shit. Just fucking crazy. And then they all blow up. And she just sits on this fucking yacht and watches it all go down. But yeah, I just think those two were written so well, and just their relationship with each other in this movie, as weird as it may be, and the twists and turns that it takes, was fucking awesome. Another character that I really fucking loved in this movie was Tyler. And Tyler is someone that I fucking love to hate. Because this is the type of motherfucker, man. Like, all the characters in this movie that aren't Margot, and they're just terrible. You know, they're terrible fucking people. The customers, I mean, they're all just generally bad fucking people. But what makes Tyler so fun is the fact that at first you just think he's just this guy who's really in the food. And like, he's like, you know, he's super passionate about it. Which is fine. You know, if you're passionate about whatever, good. But like, it becomes very clear throughout the movie that, okay, something's like wrong with this motherfucker. Like, this guy, he's just super nerdy about food. He's nerdy about, you know, he talks about mouthfeel and shit like that. And he's just a fucking nerd, which I can relate to that. Whatever. Cool. But like, then he starts to be a fucking prick. And he starts to be a fucking just asshole. And then people start dying. And he just doesn't care. And you're like, holy fuck, man. Something is wrong with this fucking kid, dude. Something is genuinely fucked up with this dude. And then it's revealed later on when Chef Slowick, you know, calls him out. And he goes, you knew what this was. And you knew that everyone here was going to die tonight. And you still brought, you know, Margot. Which leads Margot to punching him right in his fucking face, which, good. But, you know, she's obviously livid with him. And the fact that he just knew. He hired this girl knowing that she was going to die. Knowing it. Like, guaranteed she's dead. But I have to experience this guy's food. I have to experience... It's like, dude, you're a fucking maniac, man. You were fucking insane. But you know, Nicholas Hoult does a tremendous job in this fucking film. I thought he was great. Great at being an asshole too. Like, this guy fucking nailed it. He sucks in this movie, the character. And it all wraps up so satisfyingly too when, you know, here's this guy who just knows everything about food, and he's just name dropping like a Paco Jet and all this shit. And Chef Slowick is like, all right, you know, he brings him up in front of everybody in the restaurant. He puts this chef's coat on him, and he writes his name on it, and he's like, all right, now, and I love how he says it too. He's like, cook. And he's like, what are you talking? He's like, cook. You know so much about food? Make me something. It's like, we have everything. You can't say we don't have the ingredients you need. We have fucking everything, which, my God, they do. There's a shot in this film with a spice rack that's like literally like it's like a wall. It's an actual like wall, just top to bottom with like different spices and shit. It's fucking insane. So yeah, they have everything, and Tyler makes this just, and part of it is like he's panicking, but like he makes this undercooked lamb with butter and like shallots, and like I'm pretty sure that's it. Oh, and leeks. There's leeks involved as well. And it's like chef just fucking berates him the entire time. He's like, "Oh, look at this master chef. He's using shallots." Ooh, and like all this shit. Like he's just giving him shit. And then, you know, it was pretty cringe-inducing too. And you know, this super undercooked lamb. And Chef Slovak actually eats it. You know, like I'm sure he's fucking eat undercooked meat before, but he just, you know, pops it. And he's like, And like Tyler's like, oh, like he actually thinks it's good. He's like, oh shit, I did something good. And then he's like, this is bad. Like he doesn't get all animated like Gordon Ramsay. He's not like, this is fucking shit. This is just terrible. He looks at him and goes, this is very bad. You know, makes him take the fucking, well, he goes up to him and he whispers something in his ear. And then he's just like, I would love to know what was intended to be said there, because it had to have been something that just shatters this fucking kid. Because you just see tears start streaming down his fucking face. And then he takes off the coat, starts taking off his tie, and then soon after you see that he has hung himself in like a broom closet or something. Fucking just a great ending to just a shit character. And I mean that in the best way possible. Yeah, man. I just thought that whole deal was fucking great. But there are plenty here. I don't want to go over it too much because we still have a lot to talk about. And I've been talking for a long time about these characters. But they're fucking awesome, so I can't really help it. Also, shout out to the assistant lady, I guess we'll call her. She's the one who kind of introduces everybody to Hawthorne and takes them on a tour. That lady's fucking scary, dude. She's just this little petite chick, man, but she is fucking scary. I thought she was awesome. But yeah, moving on. So the structure of this film is another thing that I really enjoyed as well. I like the fact that this film is laid out with different dishes, or with different courses, I should say. And the fact that with each course, it starts getting more and more fucked up. Like you have the first one, which is just a general like fancy dish. It's like on a rock or something. It's like oysters or something like that on this rock from the island and stuff. And you know, just your general stuff. But then as we go on and we get like memory, and Chef describes a story of how it was Taco Tuesday and they were having tacos and his dad was extremely drunk and was just beating the shit out of his mom and strangling her. And so Chef couldn't take it no more, so he stabbed him in the thigh with fucking kitchen scissors. And so he then serves up a single chicken thigh with tortillas and a little pair of scissors in all of the thighs for all the customers. And it's like, okay, like this is kind of fucked up, but hey, he's telling a story, whatever. And then we get the mess, which was fucking crazy. He brings up this young kid, what's his name? Jeremy. His name's Jeremy. And he talks about how talented Jeremy is, and you know, he's lifting this kid up. And then he just looks at him and he goes, but he'll never be me. And he'll never be as good as me. And he goes, when you dedicate your life to this, like I said before, it's a 24/7 dedication. It's like when you dedicate your life to this, you give everything. You give your sanity, you give your body, you give your time, you give your life. You give every single little bit of yourself to this. And the fact that Jeremy has done all of this, but he will never get to my level, it's a tragedy. And so he says, with that, you know, Sous Chef Jeremy's the mess. And they lay out this tarp, and the tarp in the back, this guy just shoots himself right in the fucking mouth. And that is your decisive, like, switch. It's like, okay, we are in a fucking fucked up situation now, dude. Like, this is no longer just pretentious food stuff. Like, we are in a fucked up situation. There are people who are dining there thinking that it's an act, that it's all theater. Other people are genuinely freaked out. The old man tries to leave, and they cut his ring finger off, which is, you know, the symbolism of him cheating on his wife and him cutting off the ring finger, and the ring goes fucking flying. Good stuff there, but yeah, that whole scene, it's just, it immediately tells you, it's like, all right, we are in the shit now. There's other ones. Man's Folly was great, where all the guys have to run off, including Tyler, even though he doesn't want to, and he just kind of hangs around the fucking restaurant. But they all have to run off and try to escape, and sure enough, they all get brought back. You would think they get killed. No, they just bring them right back. It's like, fuck it, you know, you lose. None of them escape. I just thought that was great. And yeah, man, overall, I just think the structure of this was great. Obviously, the final course being the s'mores, where they lay out all that flammable shit, and they lay out the chocolate and the fucking marshmallows. And then they just, you know, Chef, who he describes earlier on that, you know, over time your hands get callous, or asbestos hands, as he calls them. I think it's what he calls them. But basically, it's the loss of feeling in your hands. Like, you can still, like, feel shit, but you can't, you know, like, heat doesn't bother you anymore. And that's a real thing, too, because I've seen, you know, Mrs. Darkness and her fucking dad. Her dad will just open up an oven with, like, whatever on it and just grab it. Just put it on the fucking... I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, I can't feel anything. You know, it's like he's been doing it for so long. So I've seen that happen in real life. That is a real thing. But yeah, man, obviously Chef Slovak, as this whole movie, he takes it a little step further, and he just grabs coals right out of the fucking oven and just drops them on the floor, and they all just fucking burn up, and you see the chocolate melting over their faces and shit like that. And this is fucked up, man. And they all get blown the fuck up, except for Margot, who escaped. But yeah, man, the menu is just fucking great. It's a fucking thrill ride. I 150% recommend it, whether you're into food or not. This is a very rewarding experience as far as the film is concerned. I think it's a really fun ride. But yeah, man, that'll do it for the review portion of the film. But you know what we gotta do now, baby? We gotta get into the blood, the guts, and the gory bits. We gotta get into my kill the film. Stick around. The Menu is not a very bloody and gory film. That's not really what you're getting here. That being said, it gets pretty fucking violent. I mean, you know, there are scenes in this movie that I definitely wouldn't show to kids at all. But it's way more subtle in its violence, but it's still very, very disturbing at times. But at the same time, though, and I know this is the kill of the film section, but this movie's also very funny. Like, there are plenty of spots of dark humor that often come along with the violence, which is just, I thought that was very well balanced. But as far as kills, you know, obviously the ending with everybody getting blown up by the s'mores and that whole very beautiful display, and how they just sprawl out the caramel and the chocolate all over the floor, and they fucking they crush the graham crackers all over the place, and just it's all very, very symbolic and very beautiful, which is weird because they end up dying. But yeah, it's a very weird, crazy, awesome way to end the movie. Just seeing Chef Slovak, and the last thing he ever says is, "I love you all," and he drops those fucking coals, which leads to all of them fucking burning up. That was cool. The investor who technically owns the restaurant, Doug Varick, getting lowered down into the water, and just the assistant, when Chef says, "Fallen angel, please," and the assistant just starts doing this as he like gets fucking lowered down into this water, and Chef Slovak's just like, listen, and you can hear his muffled screams outside the window. He's like, ooh, and then he gets lowered down under the water, and then nothing. And he's just like, Like, again, you know, it's not bloody and gory. It's not like you throw him into a fucking meat grinder or anything like that. But it's still super fucking disturbing. Just the fact that he just straight up drowns this fucker. It's like, oh my God. And all these people have to watch it happen. It's crazy. Those are really the only notable kill scenes of the movie. Also, the assistant getting the scissors. I think it's scissors or a knife. I think it's a knife. Getting the knife in the throat by Margot when they get in their scrap. That was also pretty gnarly. But, you know, I'm obviously going to give Kill the Film to The Mess with Sous Chef. I can't say that. Sous Chef Jeremy blowing the fucking back of his head out through his mouth was fucking brutal. You see that after shot of, you know, the blood just streaming out of his nose, which is what happens to you when you do that. Is like blood will just come out of pretty much every orifice of your face. Just very brutal, very realistic. Just, you know, even the way he like crumples to the ground is just fucking disturbing as shit. And it's kind of the scene, like I said, that really decisively, all right, we're in the horror section of this shit now. Like, it's on, you know. Very crazy, tense, brutal, disturbing scene. But I'm a fucking weirdo, so I like stuff like that. And that is my Kill of the Film for the menu, man. This was obviously a request from Mrs. Darkness, so if she is watching this, I love you very much. And to the rest of you, as always, guys, thank you so much for stopping by, supporting the channel, and supporting the dream. Next time on Days of Darkness, we're going to be continuing the Evil Dead franchise with Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, which I am very much looking forward to talking about. Love talking about the first one, and I love the second one, so I can't wait to talk about that with you guys. But until then, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and for the love of all things gory, keep watching horror. And tip your fucking waiters.